Yeah!
All right. Um, so I kind of just turned this on the app for a little bit. It's been a while since the last video, and I just kind of wanted to talk for a little bit and just give a sort of update while also like having a small discussion regarding like this game or a game or something. I don't know. Just gonna be here for a while. I'll think of a title. I might use like my new intro because why not? It's like first video I can try to use it on. Not gonna bring the whole. Not, it's not gonna bring any bringer down. It's just kind of more of like a update period and trying to keep the channel more and more active. Maybe doing more side step videos like this would probably be like the norm. I'm not entirely sure. But you know what? We just going to try it anyway. So when it comes to fighters tournament stuff, by the time you're probably watching this, new chapter's already going to be up by now. If it's not, it'll probably be like really early in the morning or probably in the mid afternoon, depending on where you are. Um, I would say that it's been weird the past few months thinking about it because I had a mindset that I didn't know I had that was actually, I think, was stagnating my progress. And what it was just thinking that fighters tournament should be treated like official like official media. Um, that was a thought process I had for a bit regarding it, thinking like it could be like something monumental. Um, I think I talked about it in a video before, but I think that really was just like the the reason as to why I couldn't get anything done, or I couldn't even like think past like basic ideas. But then when I sat down and did them, it's like I expected them to be done already. If that kind of makes sense. Like when it came to making something, my thought process before all of any of this would just be, we're gonna make it, we're gonna relax, we're gonna try to because we want to make it right. I'll just take some time and try to figure something out. Like I'll basically go through all the process of doing it in the midst of making something. I wouldn't really, and I would just fix it in there without trying to go back and do all this and that regarding the post production, all that. I would do it all in one fell swoop. Yeah, it would take a long time, like almost 5 to 6 hours of my day just doing like one big cut. But I think at the time I didn't bother me so much because I didn't care about being seen. I was just doing it just because I had fun doing it at the end of the day, which I think is what matters most in this kind of field when I'm making this stuff and I'm not getting paid for it because I don't want to get paid for this kind of work because I can't. Um, but I think when it hit a boiling point for me was when I was really thinking about. So I think it started about how I should make, or if I got critiques on fighters or feedback, right? I would just, hear it out and like I imagined like saw a scenario where I would just if like a critique or a retrospective or a review on fighters were to come out right now, in that moment I would just look at it and like react to it or like say what I wanted to say and be as nice as I possibly could on it, right? But what I didn't realize is that that slowly started to spiral into a basically a tirade of, okay, fighters looking at recognized like this or like that or like this or like that, where I'm virtually not even there yet. And it slowly started to get into how I viewed Blender because if someone sees it, well, guess what? I'll just be right there to look at it. I'll be right there to talk about it. And LOL Fighters is growing and growing and growing, and I could just sit back. But then I haven't reached that foundation to get anywhere like that yet. And I think at some point it just got to me making stuff where it was like in the back of my head, I wasn't, well, not in the, well, at the time, yeah, in the back of my head, I was making it to be for it to be seen rather than to um, having it be made because I wanted to have fun doing it. That I think was another big thing that made everything like feel just really time consuming, and I felt like I just didn't have the energy because I'm thinking about what fighters should be in my head rather than what it actually is right now, and I I really don't like that. It felt like fighters actually became something, or I felt like I was mistreating it to an extent, and I didn't want that to happen because I always thought like if I would ever make something and like um I become one of those like creators where, oh my god, I can't take criticism, or oh my god, I can't do this one decision, oh my god, I can't even write my own story. I always thought like at the worst I would end up like that with that kind of attitude. But then no, it became something different. It became, because I'm so wrapped up in a version of fighters that doesn't exist, it started warping how I view getting to that point. To my head, I was basically gaslighting myself into getting to that point. And that kind of kind of sucks because, like I said before, I virtually have not gotten anywhere on fighters at all, to the point it doesn't even deserve a smidget of that kind of recognition at all, to any extent. So I think when I started like internally realizing like the workload it would take to even get to that point, I think my in my head I started mentally just disassociating with fighters altogether because you know I'll just take it and I'll just move on. But something always was weird about it to me. It was that I keep wanting to go back into Blender and make stuff, even though with this mindset of it's already this household name, and then I just close the project like that and don't even get anything done. This is where I almost thought like maybe like I had to just basically go limbo for the rest of the time, for the rest of the year again, because like we're a quarter to 2025 and I'm not even close to getting towards the midpoint of this of onward, because or the end of the first act, because that was the plan to at least hit that point. But we're about to hit May and June, and we're not even there yet, not even close. And it's like I always thought like we were just gonna pump out content, but it's just I for that long I didn't have the energy to do it because I always thought fighters was already this thing. It stopped becoming what I was something I just always was passionate about, something I just thought it craved, or something it was something I craved. It should have been that it's not, and that's popular. That kind of hurts to hear as someone who's made it, but that's just the how it is right now. And I haven't really done anything to earn that that stance. I mean, I have 190 subscribers by the time I looked, and I mean, it's cool that even in my absence, I'm still gaining subscribers slowly. But short form content can only go so far. People don't really stick around to watch videos. But I think what made it like what made me not care about it that much was because I didn't really care about the views at the time. And this is something I think a lot of YouTubers say too. Like, I don't really care about the views. I don't really care about the money. It was something I just wanted to do. It's a common YouTube thing, so I'm not even gonna pretend like I'm like breaking new ground by saying it. I only made stuff at that point, even way before that, because I wanted to. But recently, I haven't done that because I always felt I should have earned validation from people just because I made it, which I that's not sustainable long term. Um, I think at the end of the day, it should have. I should have never got to that point, and I should have never believed my own hype that it didn't exist. And it it's kind of sad, honestly, because Fighters was a project I'm genuinely passionate about, but I was treating it as if it was this king of media that doesn't need my approval. I'll just get something done, even though it was a simple idea. I sat down, even concept it or storyboard it. I already either get uninterested or then just move along, and then nothing gets done, and everything stagnates. In that period of time, when the last chapter came out, other than another project that I still keep pretty secretive that only some people know about, I'm not gonna say it here still. But other than this one project, I haven't worked on anything fighters since that chapter came out. Before, from November to December to January, I had that burst to get going again when it came to making art. Because I genuinely just sat down and was like, I want to make some art. And from what I'm looking at right now, I'm slowly getting back into that phase again, where it's, I'm sitting down, just making some art, because I want to, and adapting the mindset that I'll have a more positive impact than this previous one. I genuinely want to make this art, and I shouldn't feel like I should earn anything because all this art, all this incredible stuff, in my eyes, should not be made out of validation for others or validation from anyone outsourced. It should have been made because I genuinely wanted to make it, and the validation of the outsource would have just came later, right? I shouldn't make this stuff looking for validation. That should have never been what this series was made for. I shouldn't have to put or overcompensate so much on it, even though I don't even have the resources to even get to that point yet. Because at the end of the day, like, people make these series on YouTube because they want to. Some of them make it out of validation, which they normally doesn't end well for them. But I don't want to end up like that. And the way I feel like I can fix this is to just readapt that previous mindset, which I thought I should abandon because at that point I should get better at this. I should have gotten better at this. I'm stagnating. Everyone else is doing cool things around me. But another thing I was thinking about was just why does that happen, right? You see people who make these really cool projects just out of nowhere and they pop off, and of course your first reaction would be, oh wow, it's just that's incredible, and they are incredible. But then you remember, like, if you were like me before, you would say like, oh my god, like why would this person just release this and it's popped off, even though I've been working for a long time, I can't even get that. Oh wow, they've just done what I couldn't do in almost years. They did it in like a few days. But that's when I realized, like, at the end of the day, whenever you see products like this come out, there's probably times where those took a long time to release because they were still just getting used to something, or they were already practicing and they're showing off their real talents and trying to apply them. Then, but the problem with stuff like what I was saying was just I was never paying attention to their development process. I just saw the or somewhat final product or experimentation, and I'm taking that as, wow, that's crazy. They're just that good, even though they probably took a long time to practice this stuff. Same thing for me one day if I got that point. If I made one giant cool project, right, and like people will come to me being like, "Oh my god, this is incredible," but then there's always going to be those people who are like, "What the heck? This guy just did all this in like a month." But it's like, no, I these people who made all these intense and awesome projects probably took a very long time to even get to that point, and they're just showing off what they could do finally after practicing for so long. And at the end of the day, it's rooted in the fact that they're not really doing it out of validation at their core. They're doing it because they want to, which has always been a principle in any hobby you do. You partake in the hobby because you want to, not because you seek approval or validation from anyone. You got to do the things that make you happy. And for a long time before a few months ago, or even to the start of the year, that was me with fighters for a good while. I didn't do it out of validation. I didn't make animation stuff because I'm out of validation. I at my core also did it because I wanted to, and that's where you see all these other videos from like the Iron 3D Pro era. And now I'm thinking like, why did I adapt this mindset? Right, I've already answered why, but um, I also asked myself like, what got me? I know I'm rambling. I know it's just this is unscripted. I'm just going off of my head, but I'm also asking like, why? How do people adapt this mindset, or how do people get to the point of they think their work should be more than what it should be? I think from how I felt, and I could very well, this is my own interpretation of it, the matter. I'm not saying this is objective, but I feel like what gets people to that point is just the being around other online artists slash animators who do the same thing you do. Um, I think it's that at their core. Now, let me be really clear on this. This is not me saying at all, that being around other animators who are great people is the reason why you fail, or the reason why you should feel this way. You feel this way, right? That's not what I'm saying at all. There are plenty of great artists and animators out there who are great people who just love sharing their craft. But for me, I feel what happened was being around other artists who do stuff that you believe to be critical to why they're succeeding and why you're failing. And what I mean by that is you compare your work to theirs and you think theirs just looks so much better. And you're like, how do I get to that point? And you see like, people like their stuff way more than like your stuff. And you feel as if you've been working for so long, like why don't you get any of that, like those impressions, or why don't you get any of that attention that this other guy gets? It could be a lot of reasons at its core, but one that I feel like it really should be, it is on the outside from the social on media or social media. It would be that of, um, I guess, how somewhat professional it looks, or how unique it looks compared to other things around it, right? When you use those, and then we, especially for me, when I looked at mine, I started saying, okay, well, I'm not trying to make no professional, like really stand out art. I'm just making art that I think looks cool. Which, hearing it out loud, there's nothing wrong with that. But when you apply it to other people on the internet who do the same thing you do, who obviously don't have the same design principles, you start thinking like, okay, maybe I have to start getting better at making some more quality stuff. Where it started, where it's just I have to make more quality stuff, which already raised an issue because that is already diverging from what we're starting to make this for. Now, I know some people still like improving their art and still making it for the fun of it, but being self-critical and also looking at what other people do next to mine, sometimes to get inspiration, sometimes to ask questions, I started to be like really questioning. Internally in my head, this type of art, can't fly in the face of getting seen. And ever since then, it kind of divulged to this. I can't. I'll only come back and make art, and I'll be professional about it. And that's just wasn't a healthy way of going about it. At the end of the day, no art got made, even if it was very basic ideas, which kickstarts a lot of my art process to begin with. I didn't think much on the concept. I just got whatever in my head, and then there you go, make art. But now or recently, it was just it has to be this huge like art piece that I don't do, or like I have to bring in new characters that I haven't used before. I have to I have to bring characters in. I have to put them in poses that I haven't seen before too. Like it became a lot of checklisting stuff for pictures rather than, or not pictures for renders. It became more checklisting for renders rather than just going with the flow with them, which my art outside from chapters have been going with the flow with those art with art on the side. That's always been the thing, just going with the flow. That's how I produced so much, and I produced ones I've loved, not ones I love, because I love all the art that I do. But that's kind of where it started for me. It slowly spiraled then after that, to the point where I'm just thinking like validation is the only reason I should be doing it, because if I'm not getting validated, there's no point in doing art. That isn't healthy at the end of the day. That's the big rambling I was trying to really get across, and this video is already as long as it is, so I'm not gonna try to extrapolate on that too much further. Basically, um, I was looking at my craft in a very negative way, and I almost dissociated with it entirely again until recently, where I had a talk with someone, and we tried to diagnose the issue, and that's where we found out that I was looking for validation the entire this past year almost. Well, not past year, past January. Since January, let's say that. I've been looking for validation and trying to get it that way, or go through that way, knowing how that's really not healthy for the creative part of me. And here we are today, um, making this video, doesn't count. Making more art, and like I said, by the time you're watching, the newest chapter will probably be out. I'll put the link in the description if it is out by this point. If it's not, then it'll be in the post in the YouTube community post as it normally is. I think we're slowly coming back to grips with how to create things the right way. Well, there's no right or wrong way to create something, but in terms for me, I think I'm coming back to the cycle of, or the mindset of, make it because you want to. Don't make it just for it to be seen. And I think I'm slowly trying to adapt it, day by day. So coming back and animating stuff, coming back and making some art is not as strenuous as it was those few months, because I feel like now those few months, those are the reason that art was so like, there was so like the days with art got longer rather than before. Um, but now, like I said, I'm slowly getting back. More art's coming more frequently now, because I simply want to make the art. It doesn't have to be like this big grandiose art that I haven't done. It's like super over the top. It can just be whatever I want it to be at its core, and it's fine. Um, and it's only going to take a bit to. It's not going to be overnight. I'm still practicing adapting the mindset, but so far, a lot more art's been getting made, or well, not a lot more, but art is getting made more frequently. Content, I hope, can come back soon if I keep adapting this idea of how I perceive art. and chapters should roll out. I want to make it more frequent, right? So I feel like at this point, right, it can't just sleep on them. I have up to chapter 37 or 36 or 37 written by the time this video is up, but it's just no pictures are made yet. The passion comes from me wanting to tell this story. The passion comes from me wanting to express myself with these characters and with this art form or with these art forms. It's only gonna say, it's only gonna say, no, only gonna say. I am rambling. I'm so sorry. It's only up to me on how they go through. Um, so yeah, that's been basically it. If you're watching this, yeah, there's Elden Ring footage. I was gonna talk about this game along with the update, but at this point now I was like 5 minutes off having to cut this and do it. So I'm gonna just say this game is difficult. I love it. Its DLC is a nice 8 out of 10. Pretty 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 weird way of exploring, but the boss fights and movesets and the environment all make it worth it to some extent. Base game is amazing. Almost 1,000 hours on PC plus PS5. Great game. God, please play Elden Ring. Actually, it's a very addictive game. Well, not I don't want to like that. You know what I mean? It's a good game. I'm sorry. But yeah, that's basically it for this. Thank you for listening, and yeah, uh, play Elden Ring. It's a good game. I promise.